Hello there, and a warm welcome to the Aline with Aline podcast. My name's Aline, this is Tigre behind me, and we have Cleo to my right at the moment. I don't know, you can just see a little bit of her fur there. So we just popped on quickly today because as I mentioned in the previous podcast, we were going to be away for a week, so we're just finding our feet again, and just wanted to touch base, and here she comes. Say hello. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Aline. If you're enjoying this, please like, share, and subscribe. And this is Cleo. I am, amongst various other things, I'm a crazy cat lady, and my babies are my absolute joy, and I learn so much from them. And I'm also, I'm also an intuitive empath. I'm also a self-empowerment life coach, an Akashic channel. And this is week 6, I believe we're on at the moment. The last 6 weeks have been about me sharing my health journey. So I've been taking time out to really, really focus on my health. And I know that there's many of us who are in a similar situation. I've decided that I wish to be the most vital, powerful, strong in every way that I can be. And so what that's resulted in is me really stepping back and taking some time to really look after myself. Now, each week I've been sharing insights and what's been happening along the way. So, as I mentioned, I've been away for a week. I got back a couple of days ago, and it's very interesting being in one place and then having 12-hour traveling. I wasn't in another hemisphere. It was just that was the time that I left one place to get back to the place where I am now. And it took me a couple of days actually to find my feet, because I kept waking up feeling it's a beautiful place. I would like to be there a lot more. I kept feeling I was there. So that was quite interesting. And there's just something I'd like to share with you that was really, really beautiful, that what happened for me. And I'd like to talk about synchronicities. We have the beautiful full moon tomorrow. And as we know, we've been working with eclipse energy. We were working with Scorpio. And what happened for me when I was away, there was four of those days where I was very much in shadow work, very much in Scorpio, very much with the eclipse energies. I was being shown what I still needed to work on. So even when we're peeling away layers and layers and layers, oftentimes, off she goes, things will still come up. And we can feel, well, I thought I dealt with that. Rather than feeling defeatist about it, and this is really important, rather than feeling defeatist about it, feel to yourself, well, when I was at this point before, this was my reaction. So I understand that this is being shown to me again to see what my reaction is this time. It's like a little mini self-test. And when we are at we're at certain points, look at how quickly you're dealing with a situation to how you did before. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Absolutely fundamental, you don't do that. Compare yourself to how far you've come. So that felt really strongly for me to come up and say. I just looked at Tigre behind me. So really, and I always say this, is treat yourself with kindness and compassion. Treat yourself as your best friend. And that was coming up really strongly for me when I was away, because I was feeling, well, why are these shadows coming up? I thought I dealt with this. I've come away to be free. I was in the middle of nowhere in a beautiful cottage on a gorgeous farm in Cornwall, and it was absolutely stunning. And the first day that I arrived very late in England, because it was pitch black from 4 o'clock. So I arrived in the dark. It was very much Wuthering Heights or pick as appropriate, Rebecca. I arrived at, I think, 7:30, and there was nowhere there to meet me. They just said they'd leave the key in the door. It was raining, there was no lights. Well, there was a little light left on the porch, but a very atmospheric driving down all these country lanes to get to this farm. And it was really beautiful because, you know, my expectations, I tried not to have expectations, but my expectations as I was driving and on the other side of the road that I haven't done for 15 years and driving in the dark, feeling a little bit scared. It was actually on the 16th of November and I kept going the same way, going the wrong way. I did it twice and it was to see crossroads. So that was quite interesting, showing me the crossroads. And when I arrived the following day, I realized that actually it was the day of Hecate when I arrived. And so Hecate is the triple goddess and is all about facing our shadows. Is all about, you know, being really authentic, is about really being our true selves and working with that powerful divine feminine within us. And so it was really interesting, and she's all about the crossroads. So it's really interesting. I arrive at an airport, crossroads. Then I'm going around in circles and I keep seeing the same crossroads, and then I arrive in the dark. So anyway, so that happened. And I arrived in the following morning, because what happened was in the middle of, in the night, there were galing winds as well. It was very windy and raining when I arrived. And I kept hearing this banging against the door. And I was thinking, okay, well, it's not ghosts. I know that, you know, I can feel that. It's not ghosts. What is it? And what had happened was there was a dustbin that just kept banging against the door. So anyway, I put that out the way, and then the following morning I went outside and I was looking where to put this dustbin lid. I couldn't see any bins anywhere, and there was a chap outside, an older gentleman, and I called over good morning and he didn't hear me, and I called over good morning again and he still didn't hear me. So I got further, and it was interesting, my reaction, because sometimes we can feel that somebody's ignoring us, and he wasn't at all. So I got the message, no, keep calling, he can't hear you. And I called again, and it happened to be his dustbin lid. And then what happened from there was a series of really beautiful happenings. Really gorgeous man, a real gentleman called Arthur, and his lovely wife Chris. They welcomed me into their home. They showed me their garden, which was complete fairy garden, and it turned out that you can see Tigre doing this because Cleo is trying to get out the door. It's open. There she's out. So what happened was I met this beautiful man, really beautiful man, and his beautiful wife, and I was just talking about, you know, he said how he'd lost dustbin lids, and we were having a little chat, and then he said, would you like to see our garden? And I just said, yes, I'd love to, thank you very much. And he took me through to the garden, and it was just gorgeous, completely fairy, all natural products. They had a little bridge going over, they were constant, they had a little greenhouse, incredible views, because where we were was right on the edge, so we had sea views as well when it wasn't so misty, and it was just stunning, and I felt so completely grateful in that moment. And this is what I want to talk about: expectations. My expectations as I was going along the night before in the pitch black, like, I'm never going to get to this place, I'm going to hate it, you know, all those kind of things. How am I going to do this? And then just by accepting where I was, all right, Teagues, just by accepting where I was and being in that moment, I then met this very beautiful man. And actually before then, I missed that little bit out. Before that, I had been in ritual, actually. I've been speaking to one of the spirits. And the quickness of meeting Arthur from connecting one of the spirits and what my petition and my request was incredible. So I had my ritual, I went outside with the dustbin lid, met the wonderful man, and he invited me into his garden, and I met his fabulous wife, and they told me their story. And he happened to be a stained glass window maker, and his lovely wife was she used to be a sister at the hospital, and they both were just working on their beautiful garden. They had gorgeous animals as well, 2 cats and a gorgeous Alsatian. And I just really knew why I was there. When they invited me into the house, their old Alsatian just came straight up to me and lay into me. He wanted some love. Not that he wasn't getting love, but they said they were excited about having a new face in the house. And I just felt wonderful. I really understood then that I was there to help. And so what happened then was they told me about a church just down the road where he'd done the stained glass windows for. And I was on foot, and so I went to go and visit the church first, and then to walk off into the village, down the fields and into the village at my own pace. And so I walked. I thought, no, I'll go to the church first. So they were hugely welcoming. Firstly, I was shown their beautiful garden. I was shown the workshop where he's in his 80s, bless him, amazing, and just beautiful, beautiful people. And they showed me the workshop. They showed me inside the house all the beautiful lamps that he'd created and other work that he created. And one of the first pieces that was up was a hummingbird, which was, for me, incredible. So then with Foster Perry and Christos T. Perry, the golden hummingbird, this beautiful synchronicity, they mentioned to me about the church where the beautiful gentleman had created the stained glass windows there with the Reformation. And it turned out that the church that I was going to, which was 5 minutes away from where I was staying, is actually where St. Materiana is purported to have been buried. And she was a Welsh princess who came over to Cornwall after her husband was sadly killed in the war. And this was in 440, I believe, AD. I say AD, but apparently it's CE now, Common Era, I don't know. And she became a hermit and healed people from a beautiful healing well. And so that was all 5 minutes away from me. And so I arrived the night before thinking, what on earth am I doing here? In the pitch black, etc., etc. Met this fabulous couple, and then carried on in my next days. And I'd organised a couple of things to do. And it's really interesting because I now understand that I just needed to be in that area and not to go to lots of different areas. I'd arranged to go somewhere which was actually really commercial. I didn't realise it was going to be hugely commercial. I thought it would be a really beautiful thing to do. And I went there and it was okay. But it was a long drive to go there. It was an effort to go there when actually I would have been really happy in the woods by the church. So it was a real lesson in not trying to push things, not trying to... I suppose it's about being in the moment. I mean, yes, we do have to plan various things. I understand that. But sometimes when you just stand in that moment and you don't push anything, you don't try and control anything, and you just allow life to happen. And that's what really, really was shown to me last week, was just allowing life to happen. I had rented an electric car. And I don't know if many of you know how the electric cars work. I understood that I needed charging points, but I didn't understand exactly how tricky it was going to be. So again, it was really interesting in a non-reacting way. And many places that I went to, I couldn't charge this electric car. And what then happened was somebody told me, we'll try here. So I drove there. I couldn't charge the electric car from any of these points. I won't go into all the details, but I just couldn't. It wasn't possible. And then as I was at one of them trying to work out, what's my next step, a couple pulled up in a car And I spoke to them and they said, go to this place because you can definitely charge there without having a card, etc. so forth. There was just an easy way. You didn't have to jump through hoops basically at this other place. So I ended up going from Cornwall to Devon one day. And when I came back, so the car was charged, brilliant. I had full charge, felt really happy. When I came back, it was 2 days before I was going. And then I realized that actually there was a charger that was only about 20 minutes away. And I thought, well, why didn't I go there? So I wasted all that time yesterday. So the day that I was leaving to go to the airport, I scheduled in to go to this charging point, which was 20 minutes, half an hour away, and 15, 20 minutes from the airport. And when I got there, it wasn't working. So it was very much, thank you, universe, for putting me through that, that whole, I met some really lovely people along the way as well. I went into a visitor centre and people helped me. And then there were some chaps doing some building work who helped me. Not that it remotely worked, the charging, but it was just really lovely to be with people who were helpful and lovely and with no agenda. They just wanted to help. And so then when I arrived at one of the points that I'm being told to go to, and that wasn't working, then this couple turned up and I helped them and I said, well, you can do it because you can call this company. You've got an English phone. You can download the app. Again, because I've got a Spanish phone, I couldn't download the app, which is why I couldn't use all the points. So anyway, that's that one, by the by. And it was just all the beautiful synchronicities of just, I didn't overreact. I was like, okay, I could stamp my feet and have a complete hissy fit about this not working and blame everybody and da-da-da-da-da. I didn't even go there and there was no one to blame anyway. It was just how it was. So it's really interesting how there could have been a real overreaction because I only had a certain amount of electricity or charge, whatever it's called, in the car. So there was the monkey brain going, you're going to break down, you're not going to have enough electricity. And then the other part of me was, it is what it is. What is the worst thing that can happen? And I'm going to talk about this in another podcast. This is just coming on to give you a little update of what happened. It's not long today. Excuse me. Just wanted to come on and say hello. And then on Wednesday, we're going to do a longer podcast that won't be on the mobile. So I just really felt to share that. It was such a moment of just releasing control and knowing that I was being cared for and knowing that I was being protected. And what had happened, so that's what happened. And then I drove back into the village, which was the nearest village to where I was, with the hugely charged car and all the rest of it. And when I'd been at this very commercial place, I just want you to see Tigre. When I'd been at this very commercial place, there had been birds around, and I'm so used to birds coming to me. And there was a father and child, and there was a beautiful little robin there. And I thought, well, that's unusual. The robins usually come to me. And then I didn't think anything of it. And then carried on with my journey, leaving the commercial place, which, it was interesting to a certain extent, but it was a moneymaker, basically. And that time I could have spent somewhere else. But then I understood that I had to go there because there would have been a case of, well, why, if I hadn't have gone there, would I have been feeling like shoulda, woulda, coulda? So everything happened exactly how it was supposed to happen. And this is what I'm wanting to talk about in a roundabout way. You know me, I'm very fairy. So what happened was, after going there, so obviously I used all the fuel, electricity, whatever it is. Then 2 days later, I was chasing around the countryside looking for chargers that work. So I was relaxed on my day before I was going. So I was relaxed on my day before I was going, so I had enough charge, before I left, and I wasn't trying to find chargers before going to the airport and taking the car back. And by the way, the car was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, really beautiful to drive. It was automatic and electric, that was all fabulous. So what then happened, so I'm jumping a bit. So when I came back from having found, hurrah, having been guided to the electric point that works, and actually when I got there as well, there was somebody else to help me. There was a chap who was from highway maintenance, and I was trying to work out how, because it wasn't plugging in, it wasn't charging, and he came over and just helped me. And I just thought how beautiful this is, because we live in a bit of a world where we kind of feel that everybody's out for themselves sometimes. And also what I was really shown as well was about accepting help. And I spoke about this a little bit on the last podcast as well, is sometimes as intuitive empaths, we think that we have to do it all ourselves, and it's all right, we've got this, we'll work it out, we'll get the messages, we'll do this, we'll do that, because everybody else needs us and we have to just do it on our own. So what I was really shown was allowing help. And I had help the whole way. I might not have realised at the time, but I had help the whole way. The synchronicity of being at the visitor centre, then with the builders, then being taken to the place which was by one of the beaches that I wanted to have a quick look. It was pouring with rain, but I saw the beach. Then the couple, just as I was about to go, arrived, told me to go to this certain point where they'd been to. I arrived there, and there was a highway maintenance man there who completely helped me with everything. And so I was happy, and I got the phone charged and then drove back. As I said, I drove back to the village nearest to where I was, because I just needed to get a few provisions, a bit of shopping. And I sat in the car park when I got back. And there was that's what I did before. So I put the shopping in, then I went for a walk, and there was a place that I really wanted to go into that was closed. The Witchcraft Museum. I will be going back. And then I thought, okay, so there's this pub called the Cobweb Inn. For some reason, I have to go in there. And as I walked towards it, I was thinking, my body was going, I really don't want to go in here. So I opened the door and just closed the door and didn't go in. I just did not want to go in. My body had already said, just do your shopping and go home. But me being me, I just tried to do as much as I could, because I only had a couple of days left. You know, it was that control thing. I was trying to push it rather than allow. And so I left. I just listened, and I thought, actually, I don't feel that I want to be in this pub. I don't drink anyway. It was just somebody that I'd met a few days before who said, oh yes, that this pub is fantastic. We love it there. And I didn't feel the same at that moment. It's not to say that I won't feel differently when I go again, but the space that I was in at that moment was, I needed to leave there. I needed to kind of process everything that happened that day, being all around the countryside, then being in Devon, and then coming back, because I didn't realise at that point that that was exactly how it was supposed to go, that I was helped all along the way. And I sat there in the car park and thought, why am I here? Why am I actually here? And as I had this thought, a robin came and sat on my windscreen, on my wing mirror, sat on the wing mirror, looked at me, went back to the hedge, and then went back to the wing mirror again. And I thought, oh, that's why. Ancestors. And to be of service. And then what happened the following day, and this is really beautiful. So the robin was there. She was jumping, he or she was jumping from the wing mirror to the bush. And then I thought, because I've been thinking as I was walking along, I went for a stroll after I did the shopping, because I just wanted to go and see the harbour. I wanted to stand outside the Witchcraft Museum and then go to the pub that I didn't go in. And it was just an instant message like, why am I here? And so the next morning in the garden, there were robins. Really beautiful. There was a robin in the garden. And as you know, you may not know, I'm very fairy. So I was putting an offering out every day, every evening for the fairy realm. And on the night of the 22nd, which was a really special night, so I had 22nd of November, I did a really beautiful ritual and I connected with the nature spirits. And that morning, there had been a robin, and the afternoon, so I went for a walk. So I went for a walk that day. I did the ritual in the afternoon when I came back. And so when I came back, I went to go and see this lovely couple, and just to say it was a pleasure to meet them, and if they wanted any of the food that I had left, I was going to give that to them. And I mentioned about the robin. And the gentleman's eyes lit up and he told the most beautiful story. What I didn't mention before was he was talking about his late wife. So his late wife, her resting place is at the church he told me about, and I saw her resting place. And I wouldn't normally take photographs of gravestones, but it felt like the right thing to do. And so I took a photograph. And anyway, I didn't go in and say, right, here's the photograph. So when I popped in just to say, really lovely to meet you, would you like the food? And I mentioned about the robin, his eyes just lit up, and he said that when his late wife passed, there was a robin in his garden, and the robin went onto his hand, and he was feeding the robin. And I said to him, I said, well, actually, I've got a photograph. I'd said beforehand that I believe that I saw his late wife's resting place, and he said he was really surprised because it had all been overgrown, but it was really clear to see. And I'd taken a photograph, and he wasn't able to, hadn't been there for a while, I don't think, because it's quite steep to get down there, and he's in his 80s. And I realised in that moment it was just pure service. I was there just for pure service, just to connect this beautiful man and his beautiful wife, because they all knew each other as his late wife was passing. His current wife was very much there and helping, and she was a friend to them both. So it's really beautiful, the whole story of how they met and how they came together. And I just realised that was the only reason. Not necessarily the only reason, because I felt so at home, but me saying, why am I here? And the robin arriving, it was so I could connect them. And I had, on the first day I was there, when I went to one of the farm shops, I got a peace lily for St. Joseph. And I really knew that as I was going, the peace lily, because I got the message that the peace lily was to give to them because his late wife really wanted that to happen. So that was really beautiful. And, sometimes it's just the little things, you feel, okay, I'm here. And I knew I wanted to go to this place as well. I found it ages ago, and I absolutely knew, well, my fabulous teachers, Foster Perry and Crystal Perry, has told me to go and be in this area. I didn't know about this place. I was looking it up, and I just knew I had this instant connection to the cottage where I stayed. And I knew that I had to be there, and I did everything that I could to be there. And the owners were away, so I was very much there. The owners who've got the farm and the big house, they were away. So I was very much there, on my own, and it was incredible. And then to, for the dustbin lid just to be banging against the door, to walk out at the moment that the beautiful older gentleman was outside his garden when normally the door's shut, and I met him, to then being shown into their garden, to meeting their beautiful pets, to being shown all the gorgeous stained glass windows. And actually, I'll put a photograph of it. This beautiful gentleman, when I went round to say, so lovely to meet you, and I spoke about the robin, and then he shared his tale, his story, what happened with the robin, and he really felt it was his late wife coming to say hello and give him a message, because the robin was eating food from him. And then for me to then have a robin arrive on my wing mirror, and then in the garden as well, and kind of follow me, it was really beautiful. And he gave me such a gift. He gave me the most beautiful little, as I mentioned, he's a stained glass window maker. He gave me a glass etching of a bird. And I will see if I can take a photograph, because I'll put that as the image for today's podcast. So I just really felt to share that. There's that, you never know what's going to happen. You know, one thing you feel that, oh yes, I'm going to this place for this reason, to do this, and this. Just release control and allow life to happen. And that's what I've been really, really learning, is trust. Because although, yes, I live in a fabulous place and I'm happy, I know I'm moving and I know I'm going somewhere else. And that's why I felt I was in that area, to find where I was going to be and to find, you know, and I was pushing it. It may be that I'm supposed to be in that area. The main reason this time was to connect with this beautiful couple, to connect with nature, to connect with the land, with the nature spirits, and also the beautiful animals there. There were the cows and the bulls and the chickens, and a really gorgeous little, what are they called? Border collie, I think she was, with 3 legs, who kept coming to see me every morning and every night. And she was just like this. That's who met me actually on my arrival. That was gorgeous. I arrived in the pitch black and the pouring rain, and she was there. She was ready to meet me, and she kept jumping up onto the chairs outside where I was as well. And then she'd jump up on me, and it was just gorgeous. So it was really about, I feel it was reminding me of why I'm here, about how much I adore animals, how I can help animals, how I can help other people, and just be of service. And it was gorgeous. And it's not mushy, it's not schmaltzy, it's just how it was. It was just really, really beautiful. And as I say this, I'm getting a little tear in my eye, because it was just incredible. I got some beautiful messages when I was there. There's going to be a lot more happening in the new year with offerings that I'm going to have for you. At the moment, it's just about showing up every week, sharing with you what I feel will really resonate. And I wasn't expecting to tell that whole story, but I did. And there's somebody who needed to hear that, and I don't know who. It was just beautiful. It was just allowing and listening to nature, listening to Mother Gaia, and being really present, being really in the moment, you know? And I had the day of trying to find the electric point, and then the huge turnaround was, it ended up just after I was just sat in the car park. So, well, why am I here then? Ding. So anyway, we have the full moon tomorrow. So I wish you the most wondrous of full moons. We're going to do another podcast, I think probably Wednesday or Thursday. I just really felt to share that story with you, because it is beautiful, and life happens in the most wondrous ways. And I felt really blessed and really grateful. And I left on Thanksgiving, and it was on the 22nd that I really started connecting and feeling why I was there. It was when I prepared with beautiful vegetables from the farm shop. I prepared a meal for the nature spirits and for the ancestors. And it just felt wonderful. And the time flew. It was about 3 hours. I was listening to wonderful music by Crystal T. Perry and Foster Perry called Hymns. I highly recommend it. As I was cooking, and just the atmosphere. And before then, I'd gone through shadows that were coming up. And mainly what those shadows were was about feeling alone and wondering what on earth I was doing there, and pushing things away and distracting myself in different ways, rather than connecting, if you like, with the fairy realm. And I accept that everything happened exactly how it's supposed to. As I visit again, and there will be many times I will know and I will feel into what's going to happen. I'm not going to try and plan anything ahead. It's just going to be what it's going to be. And if I see those beautiful people again, I will be absolutely blessed. If I don't, that was our moment. You know, it's just allowing beautiful blessings, and it really was a blessing. It really, really was a blessing into our lives. And I've got this gorgeous little man behind me. I did have Cleo on my lap earlier. And yeah, I do feel incredibly, incredibly, incredibly blessed. And I'm excited for what happens next. I'm also trying not to push what happens next, whilst not being, I don't want to say procrastinating, because that's something that I've been working on quite hugely, whilst not being distracted, let's just put it that way. So I've come back to where I'm living at the moment, and my commitment is to be working with the nature spirits a lot more than I have been. So on that, I wish you a wonderful, wonderful full moon. It's going to be an incredible one. We're in Sagittarius now, so lots of adventure. So everything that's happened with the eclipses, everything that's happened with sudden changes, we're just kind of gently going into that fun energy, and then, you know, we'll be at Christmas. So please be gentle with yourself, be kind, be compassionate. If you'd like to get in touch with me, please do. I will be offering readings again next year. So if you would like to have an Akashic reading with me or any kind of coaching session with me, then you can get in touch with me and we can certainly arrange that. At the moment, it's really about, I'm just coming on every day to share experiences. Every day? Every week, to share experiences that I really hope will resonate, because I love listening to other people's stories. And I just really felt, I didn't know what I was going to talk about today. And normally I have a bit of an idea, but it was like, what am I going to talk about? And I've been really feeling into what happened with me in when I was away for the week. And I've told you everything. Supposed to come on for 20 minutes. It's a little bit longer. So wishing you so much love. Have a wonderful, wonderful full moon. And with that full moon, I would say just keep getting rid of things that don't serve you. So keep going through cupboards, keep going through wardrobes. Have a little look if there's something in your digestive system, food-wise, drink-wise, that's not, maybe it worked for you before, but it's not now. Just allow it to go. It's really about really caring for our bodies, caring for our souls, caring for our essence and being our true essence as well. So much love. Ta-ta from Tigre. Teeks. Lama. Say bye. You gorgeous. Yeah, there he is. Yeah. So it's ta-ta from Tigre, and so much love from us. Mwah. Ho.